Orthodox Jews say a blessing, actually a series of blessings, but one of the major blessings that we say at every wedding is Od Yishoma B'Yore Yehuda Uvechutzes Yerushalayim Kol Sosim V'Kol Simcha Kol Chosim V'Kol Kala. That it should be further heard, words of the prophet, that again they would hear in the cities of Judah, in the outskirts of Jerusalem, the voice of gladness and joy, the sound of the bride and the groom. And that was something that we said in our bitterest moments through a bitter exile of over 1900 years. I had the privilege of being at a wedding in Jerusalem. It was filled with joy, and it was one of the most joyous and beautiful weddings I've ever attended. But let me explain something to you that you cannot appreciate unless you're actually there. Jewish weddings, traditional Jewish weddings, have men and women dancing separately. Jewish weddings have it that the bride and the groom don't see each other for a period of 7 days before the wedding. And furthermore, Jewish tradition has it, and all Jews who follow the tradition, practice it, that the bride and the groom have not been together physically, carnally, before their marriage. That the bride has never had another man, and the groom has not had another woman. And this makes for a different type of marriage, a different type of joy. It becomes the first experience for both bride and groom in the process of making a family. It makes the experience of creating a family into a holy thing, into a divine commandment. The process of bringing a new soul into this world is done in a state of purity and holiness. And the joy that two people loving each other follow the rules of the Torah and will establish a family along the rules of the Torah becomes an aspect, something that everybody feels, everybody who's there feels, and the dancing is with great spontaneity, and everybody's in a state of happiness and joy and delight, and it's hard for a person in the secular world to even imagine. It's hard for a guy to understand the joy of dancing with other guys if you're not of a different sexual persuasion. And the same thing with girls. And yet, people who've been to both kinds of weddings say that the happiest weddings are those that are done by Jewish tradition. We in the secular world should envy the young people growing up in the traditional Jewish world, following Jewish traditions. For we will never be able to feel the delight of the new experience that marriage gives in raising a home filled with loving children. It's time for the secular Jewish populace out there to re-examine its roots. It's time for women who have been so adamantly into the women's lib, women's rights, for those who believed and practiced free love and sex without responsibility. It's time for them, for us all to re-examine who we are, what we stand for. And hopefully our children will experience the same delight, the same joy when they get married as my niece Hila